preview. Let's see. Oh, beautiful. Now close this. Close this. And we are here. All right. We are live. So let's see. I'm going to start recording. Good morning / afternoon. Happy, beautiful, glorious day. Hello, darlings. I'm so excited for this conversation on the couch. It's a new live stream series. And we have such a joy and true delight to hear from this incredible woman that's sitting next to me. Her name is Britta. She is my divine spirit sister, my fellow Leo. And I was so excited to bring her to this live stream and to, for you, my darlings, to learn and to receive, her insights. This woman is full of divine wisdom, divine insight, incredible talent, with a very grounded perspective, with a very, down to earth kind of approach, practical tools. She's full of practical tools. And I just wanted to share her with you, and we're going to free flow and see what will come through. Britta, welcome to my couch.
Thank you. I love your couch.
Yeah, we met many lifetimes ago, in fact, in ancient Greece.
That's right.
That's where we really met. And we decided to reconnect this lifetime. We have so many things in common, like one of the astrological things in common. Our birthdays are next to each other. Her birthday was August 6th, and my birthday is tomorrow. So, yay!
Meow.
Meow, meow! And so we both have incredible appreciation of beauty and the spiritual blessing of beauty in our lives. I often speak about beauty opening the heart, and Britta has even a different, a bigger layer to that I'm excited for her to share. And we're going to also touch in on the topic of leadership and what does it truly mean to lead from the place of integrity, embodiment, and transparency. And we don't claim that we have mastered that, but we're definitely walking the path and eating a lot of surrender sandwiches during that path, and humility soups. Right, Britta?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So I'm not done with introduction just yet. So this woman is an author, and she wrote this beautiful book. I so highly recommend for you to get your paws on it. And it's a bite-sized book. Look at this. It's called Eat Here Now, a bite-sized guide to ritualize your life, nourish your body, and feed your spirit. And this is definitely non-ordinary nutrition kind of book. It really guides you to seeing eating as a sacred experience, your plate as a place of worship. Whoa, what? So, if you are anything like me, and maybe you have a real challenge of cultivating a mindfulness around your eating, because you're a producer and you're an entrepreneur and you're a leader and you have kids and you have pets and life is busy, right? To bring that mindfulness back to your eating, this woman wrote this incredible book, and I just love it. It's so incredible and very practical and grounded tips. So she's an author and a teacher and a musician. This woman plays 20 instruments. So I would love to hear, her insights on the level of devotion and mastery, what it really takes to develop yourself that you play 20 instruments. That is not a small feat, my friends, right? So we'll be tracking, I'll be tracking your comments on my phone. If you have specific questions for Britta, or if the insight stood out for you, share it in the comments, get engaged with us, because we will definitely stay engaged with you, darlings. And a lot of you are going to watch the replay, because I know it's a Saturday. And we're just beginning. Okay, I'm passing on the torch to you. Anything you'd like to share, Britta, about your journey, about your path that ties into with the introduction that I introduced you?
Oh goodness. Thank you so much. That's makes my heart glow to hear all of those beautiful things. And yeah, I mean, well, we were talking, about creativity and like creative fire. And I've been an artist for a long time, and I actually really thought that my path was going to be as an artist. I was passionate about photography. Um, and we were actually just talking about The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, which is another thing we have in common. That was a total game changer for me when I went through that book, which, for those of you who don't know, The Artist's Way is essentially, it's a 12-week self-guided art therapy journey with a book. And it's so beautiful. Really, you can do it on your own. It's amazing to do like with friends in a group so that you have support. But going through that book was a really beautiful process for me. It helped me really see some old sort of artist wounds that I was carrying. And a big one was really remembering back in my 20s when I actually wrote a manuscript and didn't publish it. I had this whole big vision, and it did not come to fruition. And I realized through doing The Artist's Way that I had been carrying that wound around for over a decade. And it was such a joy to release it and to really just give myself permission to, okay, you can really just let that go now. And by doing that, I really sort of refound my love for writing. And, during this whole process, I actually let go really of the photography as a path. I was telling you yesterday that I went to New York to look at grad schools for photography, and it was the only time that I had just a terrible time in New York. Like, it just chewed me up and spit me out and beat me up along the way. I was like, ran away, tail between my legs. I was like, no, New York did not want me. So I came back to California, and just through this long, beautiful, winding path, found my way into holistic health. And of course, as many healers find themselves on their path because of their own wounding. So it was really through my own journey with some hormonal imbalances, through my own journey with my weight and my skin, and having just a really hard time of feeling like, I'm doing everything right and I'm not. I don't feel good. So what's the problem? So, fast forward through journey of getting certified to teach yoga, becoming an essential oil enthusiast, and then finally nutrition, feeling like, okay, this is the piece that is missing. And then just the beauty of how my creativity, even though I let go the path of being like the artist who was making her living through taking pictures, photography has served me so deeply, and writing serves me so deeply in my work as a coach and as a teacher and a mentor. And then, of course, the musicianship is a whole other thing. So artistry is just, it's this through line. And for me, that was so healing, that like, I don't have to be a professional artist in order to live a creative life and to be a creator. And blessed be, because let's not like spend another moment beating ourselves up over that.
Yes. Oh, so much goodness. I hope you can feel the frequency of this conversation. I'm like, I can listen to Britta for hours. Like, say, speak some more. She's like embodiment of Saraswati for me. The goddess of sacred knowledge, music, and art. And when you hear this woman play an instrument, you go to the celestial realms. You're like, where am I? What's happening? And I am so particular who would I receive nutrition advice from. And when I'm around Britta, I soak in her wisdom about nutrition because of the level of embodiment that you have. You're so not dogmatic about nutrition. You're so open-minded, and you simply embody what you know. And her body is like a next level beauty, right? This woman has exquisitely beautiful body as a reflection of inner alignment. And you use constantly, like, there's this glorious essential oil sprays. I'm like, spray me, Britta, spray me with this glorious and there's like, I'm totally feeling like I'm back in Greece with her, right? So the level of embodiment is, and what I also receive when I'm around you is nutrition doesn't have to be complex, dogmatic, or heavy, and you shared with me how much of experimentation you've done with your body, and she really guides her clients to this beautiful, grounded, and holistic perspective of reclaiming vibrant health and radiant body that reflects your spiritual inner state. So love that. So creative fire, the creative cultivation of creative fire through the foods that we eat, through really bringing mindfulness to the process of taking nutrition in. And then we were touching on beauty. Would you like to dive into that topic? Your perspective on beauty?
Yes. Well, one of the principles that I teach that I also live, that really was the turning point for me between that, what am I doing wrong? The outside is not reflecting the inside. Like what's happening here? It's really the idea that I think a lot of people, myself in the past included, really, and this is kind of how I phrased it, like we focus on wanting to look good naked. And actually, what we really need to focus on is feeling good naked instead. And, just to break that down, like, what that means to me is that if we're focusing on how we look, it really becomes outside of us. It becomes external. It becomes about our ego. And as long as we are in that place, it's never going to be enough. Like, the beauty industry is an unreachable ceiling. So there will never be enough. We will never be thin enough. We will never be strong enough. We will never have shiny enough hair. We will never have clear enough skin. It's just never enough. So that was such a big aha for me. And when I really started to devote myself to feeling good, like, it was like, okay, screw whatever I look like. How am I feeling on the inside? Like, what's actually going on here? Okay, I feel heavy. I have brain fog. I feel lethargic. Like, I feel a little bit depressed, I don't feel energized, whatever that is. So let's start there. And that's really how I work with myself, and now how I work with clients is, let's focus on where you're not feeling good. Let's get you feeling better. That's the goal. That's the imperative. And then from there, of course, once we start feeling better, the outside reflects the inside. Like, that's when, if we need to lose weight, it starts coming off. That's when skin starts to clear. That's when eyes start to brighten, because we're actually sleeping, and there really does, there has to be, you mentioned like an open mind. There really has to be that willingness to experiment and be like the mad scientist with our food and with our diet, because as soon as we're attached to this way of eating
Yeah.
is what works for me, like life's just going to pull the rug out from under us. That's just what it does. Like these bodies aren't,
Yeah.
they're not stagnant. Like
Yeah.
they're going to change from month to month and year to year.
Yeah.
So really, you know, being flexible, being creative, being open-minded, and being experimental, I think really can lead into doing what it takes in order to feel our best. And of course, from that place, we are going to be our most radiant, brilliant, beautiful selves.
Wow. Soaking this in. This
Good.
so good. Conversations on the couch with Britta and Katerina, coming to you from ancient Greece. This is the theme of this transmission. Oh, and Britta, you and I both cultivate beauty in our environment.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not a random situation. It is something that is created and cultivated. I would love to open a dialogue with you about the importance of beautifying our sacred space where our bodies rest, where our souls create, and the importance of beauty for our creative process. You know, I don't go more than 90 days without reorganizing my environment, of moving my furniture, of adding another orchid, of bringing a new green plant, of detoxing my environment from clutter. And thank goodness I have a small space, because if I get cluttered, I immediately feel it, I immediately see it. You know, and really just illuminating any hoarding patterns. If I don't use an item for 90 days, it must go. I don't wait for a year. And it's such a joy to give away what you don't use. So I would love to hear your perspective of the importance of beautifying our environment for that creative fire to be ignited and to be grown and taken a momentum. And while you begin to speak, if you see me looking down, I just want to check in with your comments on my phone.
Beautiful. So, yeah, well, Katerina has such a beautiful space here. I've been wanting to come here for years. Thank you so much for having me. This is just a palace here overlooking the sea. Um, beauty. So I have been geeking out on this phrase, and I shared this with Katerina yesterday. Um, the phrase is spirit eats beauty.
Say it again.
Spirit eats beauty. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. This is not my original phrase. I did not come up with this as brilliance. I'm not exactly sure who did, but I was introduced to it by one of my song mentors named Lawrence Cole, who came to Santa Barbara where I live this spring, and he did a 2-day grief ritual with me and my community there. And I won't go too deep into that because that's like a whole other just amazing thing that happened. But this idea, this phrase came through of spirit eats beauty. And in this ritual, which was similar to any other ritual in a lot of ways, so much of it was about beautification. You know, it was really the idea, like it was 2 full days of like beautifying the space and purifying ourselves and eating really clean and taking the time to do some qigong and move slowly and breathe and singing, you know, beautify, like just creating all of this beauty, creating this shrine and these altars. And the whole concept underneath this was spirit is attracted to places of beauty. That's where spirit wants to be, is in places where there is beauty. And you know, often I think we think of beauty as, gosh, you're such an embodiment of beauty, that just this, you know, the aesthetic
Yeah.
quality of beauty, which is marvelous. And that is one quality of beauty. But really, beauty goes so deep into all of our senses. Beautiful sounds, beautiful song. So using our creativity, our voice, creating music, beautiful smells, beautiful aromas, beautiful tastes, amazing food, um, beautiful energy. Energy is a big one. Beautiful words, like having integrity, having authenticity. So just bringing in these multiple layers of beauty into our lives with the intention that this isn't just beauty for beauty's sake. This is beauty to call in spirit because we need help.
Oh my God.
Like, help us, spirit. We can't, and it's like we can't do this alone. Now more than ever, oh my goodness, there's just, if I try and go a day without calling on spirit, I crumble. Like,
Yes.
I feel the weight of the world, and I hear about the shootings, and I feel the racial injustice, and I look at the political landscape, and I just want to crawl in a hole and die. And so really it's like you've been using this word so much of like summoning, which I love, like summoning the power to rise up through all of that. And we don't do, like, you don't, as strong and magnificent of a being as you are, you don't do that alone.
No.
That's not Katerina. That's spirit coming through Katerina.
That's right.
So that's really, and I feel like just making that connection is so important. That this isn't just me beautifying, all these things for the sake of having beauty in my life. It's because I need help. Like, I want spirit by my side. I want spirit to be running through every cell of my being, because that's how I'm going to be able to make it through, and not only make it through, but rise up shining and be able to bring my light and my gifts to the world.
Wow. For those of you beloveds who are with us live, please share in the comments the key idea that really moved your soul. So we integrate this divine wisdom and we apply it in our lives. And for those of you who are going to watch the replay, I invite you to do the same. There's never been a more urgent time to call in spirit into our lives. And it could be such a delightful process. Your creative muse is attracted to beauty. Spirit comes, and with this frequency of spirit, all the beings of light comes as well. Are your angels, your archangels, the natural devas, beautiful galactic beings, right? Your invisible spiritual team. Creating a shrine for them in your home is so, so important. Oh, I'm going to check your comments right now.
Not to mention all the, like, the hummingbirds
Hummingbirds.
and the animal beings, and the elements, getting a beautiful gust of wind and having the beautiful bird songs. Those are such such beautiful sort of knocks, from spirit, just saying, I hear you. Like, I'm here, I hear you, I'm with you, I'm holding you.
Oh, I love that. You know what I heard, Britta, next is it's attuning yourself to spirit through beauty. So what is your daily attunement practice? And if beginning was listening, I love sitting in the nature and listening to the sounds of nature. When the breeze comes, I feel it as the breath of the cosmic mother, the cosmic spirit. When the bird comes, oh, that's the sacred mother, divine mother of my soul sends this hummingbird to remind me to cultivate joy. And you begin to decode the messages of nature in a very creative and playful way. And then you begin to remember that nature is alive. Not only it's alive, it's intelligent. It has
Mm.
spirit, it has a powerful potency. So, Britta, you live on the land. How I would like to hear from you, because
Mm.
you haven't lived on the land all your life, right? Have you lived in the cities before?
I have lived in some cities,
Yeah.
yes, for portions of time. Um, but I grew up in Washington State, in the forest on the Puget Sound.
You grew up in
So
the forest?
yeah, so that's it's always been, my comfort zone
Yeah.
is the trees and the forests and like bald eagles flying over the Puget Sound. That's like that's home for me. So nature is brings me such solace and connection. um and in terms of daily practices, certainly getting outside and just being close to nature. Right now I do live in a very rustic, unorthodox setting, and that comes with its challenges for sure. And it also comes with its blessings. My beloved and I just have been on this kick of bringing in all these bird feeders. We went to Scotland this year, for our honeymoon actually, and they're mad about bird feeders in Scotland. So we were really inspired, and we came home and we have all of these, so many species of birds. And so we sit at the breakfast table in the morning, and we just get to commune with all of these different species, and we have all these little nicknames for all the different species, and we just watch them interact, and we listen to their songs. And it's so sweet to have that connection with nature and with the beings of nature. And thinking about nature, like for me, it also really helps me to, I mean, water is a really big deal for me. I feel like I have a really beautiful connection with water, and maybe because I'm a Leo, so I am a fire being, and so water has always felt like such a necessity for me. Like I actually, like I can't really make it in the desert that long. It's just too hot. It's like too much hot. I already have a lot of hot.
Yeah.
So the water, being near the ocean, being near a river, being on, the Puget Sound up north, is so healing for me. And another way that I start every day is with what I call my morning tonic, which is like a quart of water. And that's something that's absolutely a ritual for me, is starting my day with a big glass of water, and not only drinking it down to hydrate my body and get all of those benefits, but also to really connect with just the element of water, and to remind myself, oh yeah, this is life, this is the true medicine, the original medicine, as a lot of the Native American tribes of North America called it, and call it. So for me, there's also that, the meditation on the breath, and letting our breath be just this beautiful doorway into, I am nature. I am connected with nature. All the elements are creating me. They're creating my food. They're creating these beautiful creatures outside. It's just reminding me that it's all connected. We really are just this interconnected system of light and beauty.
Wow. Bird feeders.
Bird feeders.
And I would love to shift to the next expression of cultivating creative fire, and it's through the power of the song.
Mm-hmm.
I learned so much from you, Brita, about the power of song as a medicine, and how many of you, my beautiful hearts, have had a trauma around singing. and your voice have been silent, or you felt the voice have been silent, or
Mm.
it could feel like the most vulnerable and awkward experience to let your voice to be heard. I know for me it is. I sing in private, I sing in shower, I sing in my deck, but for me to sing in front of somebody, it is probably one of the most vulnerable experiences of at the moment.
Mhm.
I can speak for hours, but if you ask me to sing, whew. So really soaking in your
Mm.
devotional experience with music, and uh, Brita leads choir as a service, as a medicine. I
Mm.
would love for you to share, Brita, about the power of music from ancient times, right?
Mhm.
How we using the music as a medicine, and
Mhm.
how to restore that confidence that maybe was lost through a trauma
Mhm.
around music.
Mhm. Ah, ah, yeah. Let's just all sigh that in. Take a big breath in. Sigh it out. Ah. Ah. s- it's so true that most of us are traumatized and we probably don't even know it. But oh man, in America, I can really only speak for America because this is where I live and this is where I've grown up. But music here, and really, when we say music, I mean, of course, music is such a broad term. And but the one of the most fundamental instrument that we all have is our voice. It is sort of the primordial instrument, the voice. And most of us have some sort of memory, conscious or not, from when we were young or when we were an adolescent, when somebody told us to be quiet, when somebody told us, you're not a singer, you don't have a good voice. Oh, just mouth the words, honey, just stand in the back. Most of us have a story like that. And it's so tragic. It's just heartbreaking because what's happened in America is song has really become about performance. It's become a performance oriented culture where if you have talent, if you're good, you're a singer. And then you can get up on stage, you can make albums, you can sing in front of people. If you aren't good, if you're not a performer, oh, don't even shame yourself, basically.
Yeah.
There's so much shame around it, and shame that we're bringing on ourselves, and shame that other people have brought on us. And what my I was fortunate enough to, when I first met Ben, my sweetheart, he we started dating and he invited me to come with him to this choir that he was singing in. And I was like, wow, he's singing in a choir. Okay. And we actually met through a musical setting. So I knew that he could sing and he knew that I like to sing as well. And he brought me to this, if you live in Los Angeles, check them out, the Golden Bridge Community Choir. And I showed up there. It was the first time, I had ever done anything like that. And I just like blew me away. I was like, where has this been all my life? Non-audition, non-denominational, all ages, all cultures, all ethnicities, all backgrounds, singing basically songs of spirit, songs to uplift the spirit, songs to open our hearts, songs to commune with one another, songs to ground us in the experience of this is what it is to be a human on planet Earth. Sometimes it's blissful, sometimes it's mm, painful, and everything in between. And So Ben and I have really, we've basically stepped, because we moved out of LA, and when we moved out of LA to Santa Barbara, it was really the first thing that we realized was, this isn't going to fly because we don't have a choir anymore. And so we decided to start our own choir. So we went to this 2-week immersive training in Canada, in Victoria, BC. And we learned how to facilitate and hold space and lead a choir like this. And one of the things that's really come through is, you look at cultures in Africa, and that, first of all, there are languages in Africa where song and dance is the same word. There's one word for song and dance, which is amazing. And there is no ego in it at all. Like, it is a birthright. It is a birthright of being a human, that like, you sing and you dance with your community. That's what you do. That's what you do to express joy. That's what you do when you're grieving. That's what you do when you don't feel good, to lift yourself. And what an incredible tool. It's become one of my favorite tools for connection with other people, for transmuting that creativity into something tangible that then hits other people and like lifts them up. Wow. And not to mention that singing is breathing. So it also is a really great, I'm also a yogi, and really into breath work and yoga and meditation. And so singing is a breathing practice as well. So it really oxygenates your brain, oxygenates all your cells. I mean, there's so many studies that have come out about basically how breathing helps us live longer, healthier lives.
Let me check in with, this is exquisite, and then we have so many comments. Thank you so much for all your comments, beautiful souls. It is really powerful. I am so close at asking Britta to sing right now. She did not know it was coming. You totally, absolutely, I will honor your honest no. I will delight in your sacred yes, and everything in between.
Of course I'll sing something. Yeah, I would love to share. Well, this is not something that I teach in choir. Let me just start with that, because something else that, I mean, there's so many ways to use song as a tool and music as a tool. And you talked about devotion, and certainly, one of my early spiritual mentors used to say, if you're looking for a really good practice that's going to school you and humble you and teach you a lot, pick up a musical practice, like pick up an instrument, start working with your voice. And I could not agree more. So music has been a huge teacher for me. And one of the ways, beyond, playing instruments, working with the choir, working with Ben as, a partner, and creating and writing music together. Another way that I have been using music is mantra. And yeah, I just recently, in the last year, really have been introduced to the practice of a sadhana. And some of you might know what that is. And essentially, a sadhana traditionally is a 40-day practice that has a yogic tradition. And, traditionally it would be something very specific, repeated, that you do the same thing every single day. And the beautiful thing about a sadhana is that the way that I have done it, and I've done 3 of them over the last year, and I have basically brought in a mantra and a form of breath work, and some sort of movement. And I've also been really geeking out on Kundalini yoga, and they would call that like a kriya, is basically a series of postures or asanas. So I am just finishing, I'm in the last 6 days of a 40-day sadhana that I have been doing. And I have been working really with the pituitary gland, which is actually a place where I'm really calling in healing for myself. So I've been doing a Kriya that works with the endocrine system and works with clearing the pituitary gland, which is the third eye, the energy of the sixth chakra. Um, and with that, I've been working with a mantra called Dan Dan, which is a mantra to the Guru Ram Das, and it's for miracles. It's a mantra for miracles, which I was like, yes, of course I'm going to do that. And just shout out to our mutual friend and sweet, sweet sister, Jojo, because she's taught me so much about sadhanas, and I got this mantra. She's the one who introduced me to this mantra. And it's been a joy to work with. So, so again, this is not exactly a sing-along, but I'd love to share it and just send out that energy of calling in miracles. And that's what it's for. So if you have a miracle that you are literally feeling like, oh my God, how is this going to happen? Like I literally would need a miracle. Oh, how convenient. You can use mantra for that. So this is a great time to just receive this and hold that miracle in your sixth chakra, seeing it in your vision, seeing it in your mind's eye, seeing it in your heart space. And and I'll go ahead and chant the miracle mantra for us. Dhanna Dhanna Ramadas Guru Sira Jinya Sire Tavarya Dhanna Dhanna Ramadas Guru Tinna Sirya Tinne Savarya Puri Hoi Karamat Apasiri Jannahare Hatariya Sikiyat Tahi Sangati Para Brahma Karanama Sakariya Atalahatahu Torotu Tera Atana Paravariya Genitus Sevya Parukar Setura Parutariya Laba Laba Kama Kroda Mo Marakada Tuda Saparavariya Dana Sotera Tana He Sachatera Pe Sakariya Nanakatule Antu He Guru Amaratu Vichariya Guru Dita Tamana Sadariya Guru Dita Tamana Sadariya Guru Dita Tamana Sadariya.
I am in the divine frequency of this mantra because of the proximity. Whoa, Britta. Wow.
I just have to say a disclaimer that the very first line of that, I totally got nervous in front of all you all.
Yeah.
And I don't know what came out of my mouth. So for any of you who know that mantra, you probably heard it and you were like, what? There's a few words there that aren't quite right on. And you know, the beautiful thing about mantra is that I've heard some really enlightened, beautiful masters say, you don't even have to really know it. Like, just go along. Like there is magic to like the tongue striking the top of the mouth and the vibration of the sounds and the vibration you're holding in your heart. So even just hearing it, even botching it, even halfway getting it right, you're still aligning yourself in the frequency, which I just love, that it's also not about perfection.
Yes.
It's about the devotion.
Yes. It is about the devotion.
Process.
It's devotional process. Wow. Thank you, Britta, so much for the gift of mantra. It is, mantras found me last year.
Tell me about your journey with mantras.
Yeah. Well, I've heard about mantras first from Deepak Chopra about 11 years ago. And I was like, mantras, you know, maybe one day it's gonna land. But it was just like, it wasn't, my consciousness was not ready for them. And
Mm.
last year, they just arrived like a most exquisite guest and knocked on my door and said, "We are here." And I was guided to Deva Primal, her audio album on audible.com, 21-day practice, mantra practice. And what I love about that is because they give a very short description of each mantra and the power of it before they sing that mantra. So you can really learn a lot. And I went on this 21-day journey with them. And I was and still am so deeply enchanted. And I start feeling and my spiritual power rise every time I chant the mantra, and my mind becomes clear. And then I also went through this beautiful book called The Sacred Sounds Mantra, learning about the history and the seed sounds. I'm a big why person. So if I understand the why behind the practice, I will align to it and I will cultivate it. So if you are a why person, maybe learning about the power of the mantras. And also, I really start feeling a next level of protection. It's like a protection and clearing of the mind and grounding and reconnecting with your spirit. So I love mantras. I chant them every day. Yes, it's exquisite. And also receiving a mantra blessing, it's a real blessing in your life. So yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and just, if you are totally new to them, yeah, know that you can play a mantra. Chanting them is sort of next, sure, it's the next step up. But even if you do chant mantras, it's one of my Kundalini teachers really, really encourages to basically have mantra going in your home at all times, like to just have it playing, because that vibration is affecting your space. It's affecting the frequency of your space, the energy of your space. If you're playing mantras in your kitchen, it's lifting the frequency and the energy of the food and the beverages that you're consuming. It's just an amazing, amazing tool for calling in healing, for calling in prosperity, for calling in miracles, for calling in removing obstacles. I mean, there are mantras for everything, which I love too. I love that you can go in and find, even on YouTube, Meditative Mind is one of my favorite, right? Oh, so good. And they've got this series. I think they did a 40-day sadhana, but basically it was like they released a new mantra every day. The man who sings them has the most beautiful voice, and they're all like over an hour long. And they're amazing. They're so good just to put on when you're making a meal or when you're working on your business, or gosh, in the bath, cleaning your room. I mean, they're just such good medicine.
Yeah, so practical implementation YouTube channel. There's a channel called Meditative Mind. I listen to it all the time,
so
Britta. Yeah, there's solfeggio frequency and there is a mantras, and that's what I use as my background sound when I create, when I cultivate my yes,
yep.
of course.
That's my
So
work music.
your work music as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're gonna go into one more topic. So if you've been with us from the very beginning, thank you for the gift of your presence. I am glowing in the radiance of conversation, of such conversation. So I would love to go deeper with Britta, if that's okay with you. Yeah. So we covered cultivating creative fire through our beauty, through the beauty of our food, through the beauty of our mindfulness, calling spirit through the beauty of our environment, practical insights, mantra practices. This is such a rich conversation that I'm looking forward to replaying myself and taking notes. So we also mentioned that we would love to open the conversation about what does it really mean? What does it feel like to lead with integrity, devotion, and transparency? Britta and I on the path of feminine leadership. And I will speak for myself, we've had these conversations, how it's not always a bed of roses, right? There's trials that arise to purify the ego of my personality, right? And I love my ego because it really serves me. There is this beautiful bond between ego and spirit, but ego must be purified to hold the power of the spirit. So there is these trials and tests and initiations on the path. And but there is also comes the beauty and the fulfillment and the satisfaction of rising when the spirit calls for your mission and being the light that you always know you're here to be. And it all starts with self leadership. So leadership is not something so grandiose and unreachable. Leadership starts from within, where you begin to lead your own life, where you begin to speak and live your truth. And I would love to open up this conversation. Britta, how do you experience, what has been your experience on the leadership path? I would say just recently, was the recent, the more spirit calls you to lead. What has been your lessons, insights, or whatever you desire to share on this topic?
Well, I love what you brought in about transparency, and that I've had just some very, very recent lessons in that, in being really vulnerable, which Katerina knows I've been just totally obsessed with Brene Brown lately. And so I've really been diving into this idea of vulnerability and what that means and what that looks like for a leader, for a teacher, for a mentor. And definitely means transparency, definitely means that I'm willing to call myself out in front of people, or as my friend James says, which I love, call myself in.
Oh,
yeah, so much better than calling myself out, calling myself in. Like, okay, like we're going to talk about enlightened leadership. We're going to talk about how to elevate ourselves. Where am I out of alignment with that? And it can be small or it can be large, and calling myself into that conversation in a way that is real and authentic. Authenticity and integrity and transparency are all really big themes for me. Something that Brene Brown said in an audiobook that I listened to recently, that when I heard this, I can't even describe how much it soothed my heart and just affirmed this knowing that I've had. And of course, she just did such a beautiful job of encapsulating it in words, which was, integration is the heart of spirituality. Integration is the heart of spirituality. And for me, what that means is it's not enough to have the knowledge, because there is knowledge available everywhere, I mean, on Facebook, on YouTube, in books. I mean, gosh, we just are in such a knowledge rich age where it is so available, almost too available, that it just, we're overwhelmed by it. But having the knowledge and having the experience of that knowledge are two different things. So integrating, okay, what do I know about truth telling? What do I know about being vulnerable? And even, I'm so obviously one of the areas that I teach in a lot is with nourishment. And I really like nourishment better than nutrition, because I feel like it's all food. Like everything in our life, the books we read and the people we surround ourselves with, all of that is feeding us.
Oh, yes.
So it's nourishment. It's like nourishment for our bodies, soul, heart, spirit. And, I can teach on nourishing ourselves and on self-care all day long. And then if I get to the end of my day and realize, like, oh, you didn't really move your body today and I'm dehydrated,
Mhm.
and not that any of those things are a reason to beat myself up, but they are an invitation into deeper embodiment and deeper integration of how do I take these lessons into my life in a way so that I'm not just telling people what I know, as you said so beautifully, like I'm embodying what I know.
Yes.
And I, just by being with somebody, they are receiving it and they're
That's right.
feeling it and they're seeing it and they're inspired by it. And then they might come to me and say, well, what can you give me?
Yeah.
Can you give me the how?
Yeah.
And of course, I'm happy to give the how. But really holding that vibration for myself and holding myself in just the utmost integrity, transparency, authenticity, through integration. For me, that's really what leadership is. Like the person who is integrating their knowledge and turning it into something real and practical and applicable that helps other people live better, live happier, live healthier, live a fuller life. I mean, those are the people that I follow. Those are the people that I want to be around.
Ooh, 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 ooh. So much here. So much here. So it is all about, the best way to lead, honestly. This from what I'm learning and remembering again and again is by example. There is two way to lead. You can either lead through force, and we've seen a lot of that, right? Or you can lead through inspiration. And inspiration happens from example. From, I'm not going to tell you what to do, I'm going to show how I do it. And that is so inspiring in our time. And this is why, leadership is not something unreachable and only reserved for the few. We really can begin to see, how do I lead my own life? And what a beautiful contribution to humanity by being an example of leading your own life and integrating what you know. So beautiful. Transparency. Read all Brené Brown's book, my loves. Right? I have all of them. Britta's like, yeah, I wanted, she was looking through my bookshelf. She's like, oh, this one I don't have. Yeah, you just, somebody who trailblaze such a powerful topics, such as vulnerability and shame and grief and boundaries and leadership, and so exquisite. So,
And one of the things I love about her story that she told was that, when she first really came out, I mean, the TED talk that she's really that kind of pushed her into the public eye in a lot of ways, that wasn't her normal talk. Like that wasn't her talk that she did all the time. And she told her husband, like, I want to do this talk on shame and vulnerability. And he was like, do it, do it. And she just went for it. And I mean, can you imagine being in her position, being someone who's a thought leader, who is, going to give this TED talk and just says, you know what, I'm going to give a new talk that I've never taught before on shame and vulnerability. And I can just imagine somebody being like, bad idea. Like, who wants to hear about that? Like, who wants to talk about shame? Yeah. But look how much it resonates with people. Yeah. And that's, gosh, what a teaching in transparency. Like, what is more real than I am eating, the surrender sandwich right now? Like, yeah. I am in the shame spiral right now. And being able to call ourselves into that conversation and just, oh man, it really softens that wall, that crust around the heart that is the expectation of perfectionism and of being this you know, this like unmovable mountain of perfect. It's just so not attainable and not real. And I love that part of her story. I feel like I'm just going to take that with me forever. Like, listen to your own wisdom and listen to what resonates with people. That's something else. Last little thing on
Yes,
leadership that
please.
I'm really learning is like, listen to what people want.
Yeah.
You know, when people come to me and say, hey, can you tell me about, you know, whatever it is, it's like, oh, okay, people want to know. Like, people want to know how I just throw together a recipe for a raw pie. Like, people want to know how you be experimental in the kitchen. Okay, cool. That's something people want to learn about. So rather than having, I mean, I'm creative, so I can come up with ideas for what we were talking about this yesterday, for what I want to teach people all day long.
Yeah.
But when I start listening to what do they want to learn, that's really when the flow happens. And that's when I feel like true leadership comes in, when it's not about me, it's not about what I want. It's about what my community wants and how can I serve them.
Exquisite insight. Exquisite. I can deeply relate, Britta. I often call it keeping my hand on the pulse of the community, listening to that pulse, you know, of the life force that moving through the community, and really having like ears of the elephant, remembering every little request, you know, every voice. And Richard Rudd, who brought us Evolutionary Wisdom of the Gene Keys, in the Gene Key 7, he says the true leader is the ultimate listener. And it really landed for me like that. Yeah, really listening to what the community is longing to hear for. And thank you so much, Britta. Exquisite conversation. My beautiful hearts, beautiful listeners and viewers, thank you for the gift of your presence. Don't leave just yet, because I really wanted to encourage you to follow Britta's work on Facebook and Instagram. This woman brings such a really wholesome content on her pages. She does this mason jar Sundays or Mondays, mason jars Mondays. And what I love about your recipes that you share, it is, you know, for an entrepreneur like myself with a very full schedule, I get so inspired by simplicity of your recipes and by creativity, and it takes me into my feminine essence. I'm like, I want to create a mason jar Monday. You know. And then Britta created this exquisite soup for us last night. So, you know, you're just inspired by very simple and very nourishing recipes. And then I love that you teach philosophy, you teach principles of living a nourished life. And once again, beloveds, there is a book available. Is it available on Amazon?
It is indeed.
It's available on Amazon. It's called Eat Here Now. I'm going to take a screenshot. It is incredible, really principle and philosophies of committing to your plate as a place of worship. Whoa, right? So it's a, you know, how to live a thriving existence. And Britta also is incredible voice coach. Is it okay if I share that?
Yes.
She's an incredible voice coach. So if you would love some support in bringing your voice, maybe healing your voice or activating or cultivating your voice, reach out to her. She is a phenomenal nourishment mentor. So she's really, really skilled, all thing nutrition, really incredible, you know, balanced and open-minded, and all based on life experience, science, experimentation with her own body and embodiment. So this is all the ways that this woman can support your life, and follow her work and definitely friend her. I am glowing from the frequency of this conversation. I'm so grateful we had this opportunity to step into this container. Thank you for every single comment that you left. We're going to go through them and reply to them and acknowledge them. But Britta is tagged in this live stream. So if you click on her name, it's going to take her to her page and check out her website and her work. Eat Here Now. I love this book.
Thank you so much.
Did you have fun on my couch?
Oh, yes. Of course. I always have fun with you.
It's so good. So good to be together.
Basking in your radiance.
Oh, yay. So
the Greek goddess.
Greek
The Greek
goddesses.
goddess tribe here.
Yeah, we are, yesterday we were like two happy mermaids. We were on the beach. It was the first time for both of us to be on the beach this summer, and we were laying and reading our books and just enjoying the sun. And today we will continue our beautiful enjoyment processes. We might go to kirtan practice and do yoga, take a yoga class, or we just allow the flow take us. So it was such a joy to have this time with you, beloved souls. Thank you for the gift of your presence. And Britta, oh, my sister, I love you so much. Thank you for your wisdom. And this is not the only time I feel I'm going to bring Britta to you, my darlings. This was incredible, right? Big kiss. Enjoy the rest of your day. And please share this live stream if you received wisdom, inspiration, insights. We encourage you to share this live stream to your communities, to your friends, so they receive the same. Thank you. Be blessed. Bye.